YouTube Ozick going the Goat House is back with an updated NFL mock draft after the Matt Ryan trade. So about as up to date as you can get. And just because I said that, a big trade's about to go down huge. If it does, I get credit. I definitely get the credit. But was working on a mock with some trades in it until the Matt Ryan trade happened. So just wanted to update this mock. Didn't want to include trades to make a mess. Let's take a look. Let's see what it looks like. When the Falcons need a quarterback, do they take one at 8? Other teams missing out on trading for quarterbacks, do they take a quarterback? We'll see what it looks like with the Texans picking in their new spot, the Browns spot there after the Deshaun Watson trade. So maybe the next mock we'll do some trades, projected trades there. So yeah, starting to think the quarterbacks go earlier. Pro days going on. Teams falling in love with these guys. Again, teams missing out on trading for quarterbacks. They desperately need guys. So just what happens, too. No matter the type of class, quarterbacks just go earlier than expected. So 2 rounds. We're going to break it down here. Follow our Twitter. A lot of updates. Like, subscribe to notifications down. We got a bunch of free agency and trade grades out there here on the channel. Here's our Twitter. Just a lot of updates. Still a lot of free agency left. A lot of good players. We got you covered with these updates, news, rumors, and more. Let's go over this mock. So Jaguars, I still got Aidan Hutchison first overall. Still could take a tackle. They franchise tag Cam Robinson. So what does that mean? It means maybe they're less likely to take a tackle, but still could. It's obviously it's only a 1-year gig there. I didn't think go Hutchinson though. Pair him with Josh Allen, create a pretty nasty pass rush duo. And I had, just like last time, I had the Lions going Travon Walker. I think Travon Walker has the most upside out of any player in this class. Just a freak athlete, especially for that size and that length. He has the ability to play outside, inside, linebacker, drop in coverage. I think the Lions will like him. Could this be a trade back spot? It's a possibility. Lions, they're not really a needed offensive lineman. I like pass rusher for them. Could they? Some people talk about Malik Willis. I think it's a little early. I don't think the Lions are about, reaching. But they may like Willis. They may like his upside. The Texans, I'm going to go Evan Neal. This is where it starts to get more tricky. I'm going to go Evan Neal, the tackle from Alabama. They got Laramie Tunsil coming back. They could be looking for that right tackle that also can replace Tunsil if he's gone or injured as well. Titus Howard, we've seen him play tackle and guard. I think they like him at guard. We've seen him play both over the course of his career. I think they go Neal, who has experience at left and right. Starts at right as long as Tunsil's in there. Could fill in at left, obviously. So that's what I'm feeling right now. It's tough for the Texans because they need almost everything, and hey, they got 2 first-round picks now, but because they could go any route, kind of tough to predict, but I'm really feeling Neal right now. The Jets are very tricky as well. I have them going to Kemekwane, who came out today. We talked about on Twitter. He actually has visits lined up with the Jags, the Lions, the Texans, the Jets, the Giants. That's the first 5 teams picking there. I don't think the Lions take him, but who knows? But they are visiting with them. But got him going to the Jets. The Jets are tricky because what are they going to do with their tackle situation? Because it looked like they hit on Mekhi Becton. Then this new staff, he didn't really get to play under because he was injured. So they really don't know what he's about, the coaching staff at least. And they moved George Fant to left tackle. He looks pretty good. There was talks about him possibly getting an extension because his deal expires after this year. So are they just good with Fant and extending him and then playing Becton at right tackle? Do they want to put Becton back at left tackle, move Fant to right tackle? Do they want to play Fant at left tackle? Maybe they're not good with Becton at right tackle. Do they trade him, draft a right tackle? There are so many different scenarios here. Really what I'm thinking here is, Fant I don't think is 100% proven. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think it's pretty risky to go Fant left tackle, Becton right tackle. You have a high upside guy, talented guy in Becton who fits at left tackle. It sounds like Ekwonu, and he's worthy of the pick. So it makes so much more sense to pair Becton with Ekwonu here. So that's kind of the route I went. But they can go multiple different routes here. Giants go Charles Cross. They probably would like Neal or Ekwonu. Cross is very impressive as well. Very quick feet. Very talented. That's the thing, though. I see people. I talked about some trades on Twitter. We were talking about kind of different scenarios. And people were like, I mentioned the Giants trading up for a better tackle, a guy like Evan Neal. And people were saying, why would you trade up if you can just get one of the other guys, And that makes sense to me, and I understand why it makes sense to other people. But you have to think what teams are thinking. They do their homework on each and every single one of these guys. They're very likely, especially these teams at the top, to really fall in love with Evan Neal. Like, all right, these guys are all good, but Evan Neal, we're using the example, is so good. We got to have this guy. So that would be why they would do something like that. So Giants are pretty interesting, but Charles Cross fit in with Andrew Thomas there. And then they have their tackle duo. So I'm back to thinking, again, like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm starting to think the quarterbacks are going earlier again. I had this kind of early on, and they kind of went away from it because it's kind of a weaker quarterback class. But, man, if it's weak, if it's strong, if there's one good guy at the top, if there's loads of guys, it doesn't really matter. The quarterbacks seem to go earlier than expected, or they just go early in general. I don't think Pickett should be the first quarterback taken. I don't think he has that high of a ceiling. I worry about the fumbles. I really think the Panthers will be on Kenny Pickett. He had his pro day today. Panthers had some guys out there. I don't know if I really view Willis as a fit in their system. I mean, I'm more about just take the best quarterback because that can make or break your team. I think too many teams make the mistake of drafting basically the system. They're choosing basically their coaches over the best quarterback. Teams make that mistake all the time. And that, I fear, could be a situation here. I was thinking that the Panthers weren't, do they really want to mess with a rookie quarterback? And they probably didn't, but they kind of missed out on some guys here in the offseason. I mean, they could still trade for Baker. They're missing some picks to make that deal happen. Do they want another guy in his fifth-year option like Sam Darnold? I don't know if they mess around with Garoppolo. Again, they don't really have the picks to trade, so they might be kind of stuck drafting a guy here, and I think they will view Pickett as their best fit. And I just keep hearing teams in the league view Pickett as the top guy. Now, every team's not going to be like that, but I just keep hearing that because he's smart. Maybe he's pro-ready. There's not a lot of upside there. Worry about the fumbles. But right now, I'm kind of thinking the Panthers may go that route. So the Giants get Ahmad Gardner, then Cincinnati corner, who could go. I feel like this is the latest he goes. Elite coverage skills as a prospect. Again, I keep mentioning tackling's kind of hit or miss there. Could be a little better. Some arm tackles, but the Giants, who will value corner, and get the best one in the draft here. Bradbury possibly still on the trade market. One trading block, I should say. 1 year left on his deal. They have Adoree Jackson, who does have injury concern. Aaron Robinson is the inside or outside guy, so they could grab that corner for now and the future. So the Falcons today traded Matt Ryan to the Colts. So now they're in need of a quarterback. They still may pass on a quarterback. They passed on one last year, but they also had Matt Ryan. They signed Marcus Mariota earlier. That's no lock, though. 2-year deal. Could start right now. And some of these quarterbacks, you take a guy like Willis, maybe he sits for a year. Learns a good guy to learn behind Marcus Mariota. So I think they would go. I think they would like, and I think they would go in this scenario with Malik Willis there. So interesting to see the difference here. Some really good. If the quarterbacks go this early, guys have to drop. It's hard to see, but guys have to drop. And as you can tell, I have guys like Kayvon, Thibodeaux, and Kyle Hamilton dropping through. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's one of them and somebody else. If the quarterbacks go this early, which I'm feeling right now, somebody's going to drop. Even though you don't believe it, it's got to happen here. So next group of picks, another quarterback, Matt Corral. I think we're forgetting about Matt Corral a little bit. I think the Seahawks would like him too. Some similarities maybe to the style of play of Russell Wilson. I think they would like Malik Willis. But I think we're forgetting a little bit about Corral because he's been injured. We didn't see him it was rare. We saw all the quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl except for Corral, which is kind of rare. We usually see some guys, at the Senior Bowl each year. So Corral was kind of was a loser that he, wasn't, in that obviously. And then we didn't get to see him at the Combine because he's still recovering from the injury. He has his pro day this Wednesday. That's in 2 days, so that'd be big. But kind of go back and you just see how talented he is. The concern is runs into a lot of contact. Durability, and where's his durability at? Because he doesn't have the biggest frame, but he's talented. He can escape pressure, he can move, he can throw on the run. He's got some good arm strength, fit the ball in some tight windows. So there's some wow moments there. So I think teams will seem to be the quarterbacks from draft classes that are working out as well. So Seahawks go that route there. Could go corner like Derek Stingley as well. Could go Thibodeaux perhaps, but then Thibodeaux drops right in the Jets' lap at 10. I mean, it's realistic he can go to the Jets at 4. So think about that. But again, because the quarterbacks come off the board, the need of quarterbacks up there, guys like this dropping. And some people question maybe his effort, maybe his motor a little bit. I mean, he's extremely talented, and the Jets would love to have him there. Pair him with their group if they got Carl Lawson opposite of him. We'll see him for the first time in a Jets uniform this year. So Kyle Hamilton slipped through as well, who realistically could go up at 2 to the Lions perhaps, but he slips through. I guess if somebody was going to slip through, maybe it's because of the safety position, maybe because, how high do you take a safety? He's coming off the injury, obviously. So, but falls right to Washington Commanders, and they can't pass on him. Pair him up with Cameron Curl there. Just can't pass here. So you see, a lot of you probably don't believe the quarterback's going that early. Some of you maybe do. But I think what we have here is a realistic scenario that could push some crazy talented players down. So it's interesting to think about. The Vikings go Derek Stingley Jr. They're trying to add another corner here. So he falls in their lap. Texans, now with the 13th pick after the Deshaun Watson trade, and they grabbed Garrett Wilson. Really thought about Jermaine Johnson here, adding the very talented pass rusher from Florida State. But the Texans need so many things. They can go any route, and it's not really going to be surprising unless it's a big-time reach. But you think about it, they want Davis Mills to work. They like Davis Mills. They want him to work. And receivers, Brandon Cooks is very talented, but, he's veteran guy, and that's really the guy in there. So you want to really have a young piece for Davis Mills that is also very talented, and that would be Garrett Wilson from Ohio State here, who can play inside or out. So I went that route for the Texans. So Jermaine Johnson, because Thibodeaux fell, Jermaine Johnson fell a bit too. The Ravens tried to get Zadarius Smith, couldn't hang on to him there in free agency. They still need a pass rusher that just straight up just gets after the quarterback, falls right in their lap there. So you get Jermaine Johnson, be big for the Ravens. I also like a guy that's rising big time for the Ravens, and that is Zion Johnson from Boston College. I think he fits really well for them, whether it's guard or center. He played guard. He's got experience at tackle too, but he's a really good guard that teams really want to see him work out at center at the Senior Bowl, and he did that. And I really think he fits them. So that's a guy to look out for too. But Jermaine Johnson slipping through, that's just so hard to pass on. Eagles go Devin Lloyd. I kind of keep having that. Just makes sense. They want to upgrade at linebacker. We know that. I think they want to blitz more too. They were bottom of the NFL in blitzing, second to last behind the Raiders, or in front of the Raiders. They add Hassan Reddick, who thrives in blitz schemes as an edge rusher. You kind of can use him in stunts, and you want a linebacker that can blitz, and that would be Devin Lloyd, who could do a lot more than blitzing. So I would really like this pick for the Eagles. It would make the Hassan Reddick signing better, too. So it would make more sense. Jordan Davis, the Eagles are one of those teams that they feel they never could have enough defensive linemen, and you get a big time nose tackle that also can play D tackle, and you got a lot of interchangeable guys. You got a lot of versatile guys that can move around in different spots. So, if Davis at nose tackle, they can have Hargrave at D tackle. They have Fletcher Cox for on a 1-year deal. And Davis could play over the guard as well, like we said. So, and I know they were bringing him in a top 30 visit too. So they showed, it doesn't mean they're taking him, but it shows that usually teams take guys that they bring in on a top 30 visit, but they bring in 30 guys. So, so right now it kind of makes some sense there. They will really value him, in my opinion. Next group of picks, Chargers go Trevor Penning. I think I had this last time. They cut Balaga as we expected in a right tackle. Penning likely could play there opposite of Rashawn Slater. That is looking pretty damn good to protect their franchise piece in Justin Herbert. Saints could go quarterback. They signed Jameis Winston earlier today to a 2-year deal. Still could go quarterback. Guys are kind of coming off the board here. They may like Pickett. Maybe they like Ritter here in this scenario. I'm kind of back and forth. There's just this is kind of a Saints receiver class, in my opinion. I think a lot of these guys are the types of receivers the Saints are looking for. Jameson Williams, Chris Olave. Just remembering that combine from Olave really helped his stock, and feels like a safe pick. What you're going to get from Olave. He's going to get open. He's going to catch the ball. He's pretty good after the catch. He's got the speed. He's got the quickness. Got the footwork. You know what you're going to get there. So I think the Saints will like him. Ohio State receiver pairing with the Ohio State receiver Michael Thomas. I think we would see pretty interchangeable, but I think we would see more Olave outside, Michael Thomas inside, which seems to be kind of where the league's heading, kind of more of the little bigger bodies on the inside, which Michael Thomas has been playing there, but, Olave on the outside. I think they pair with each other pretty well. Eagles go Trent McDuffie to pair with Darius Slay. I believe I had that last time as well. I like that. Steelers go Desmond Ridder, so they get their quarterback. Maybe people would question the Trubisky signing, but you can't really predict the draft. You pick 20, let's get a quarterback, with in free agency, and we'll see what happens in the draft. Then Ridder's available. They take him. Incredible job at the Senior Bowl, and an incredible workout in terms of the testing at the Combine. So maybe his stock is up. Doesn't really turn the ball over much. Again, could run, has a strong arm. For right now, he kind of feels like a one-read guy. So can we get more out of him there? That's the question. Patriots go Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. Bama guy pairing with their Bama quarterback, even though they didn't play with each other last year there, but kind of what they wanted on Nelson Aguilar, who was extremely disappointing. Well, not extremely. I guess they expected more there. So, and he's got one more year left on his deal. They started using Bourne more and more a year went on, and more in the slot as well. Myers got 1 year left on his deal. He's on the tender. So it could be it could be Jameson Williams and Bourne, moving forward in the future there, and probably add somebody else somewhere. Or they added Ty Montgomery, who plays a little bit of receiver and running back. So they go that route, that kind of deep speed they wanted an Aguilar there, which they could still insist on, obviously. The Packers go Boye Mafe. This is with the Devontae Adams trade. They got this in the Raiders pick. Thought about receiver here. Really thought about it. But this is kind of their opportunity for an edge rusher, which they want after losing Zadarius Smith, obviously, or cutting him. And Boye Mafe is a fantastic fit, in my opinion. I think he's going to go earlier than people think. A freak athlete, has the production. There's not too many negatives in his game, really. So, in the Cardinals, the pick after the Packers are a big-time threat to take a guy like Boye Mafe. So the Packers go that route. Cardinals take Zion Johnson, who I mentioned. I really considered him with the Ravens up there. Like the fit. Again, plug-and-play starting guard, and he can fill in at center if Hutchison goes down, kind of like last year, or missed a couple games, which hurt the Cardinals. There some bad snaps really lost them the game, and that was the difference of winning their division, maybe. So Zion Johnson, big-time riser. Cardinals go that route. I keep having Linderbaum and the Cowboys. It's tough to see him go any later in this. There's a lot of people that have him going a lot earlier. I never really put him that early. It's just because he's, how high do you take a center? Who's going to be confident in him playing guard? 'Cause then you could take him earlier. He only fits certain schemes. He's a little undersized. He's got really good tape, So I don't know if you take him, a whole lot earlier in this. But I also don't see him. You can take him earlier in this, but not a whole lot. But I really don't see him dropping really any further than this either. So that's what I have for the Cowboys still. Bills go Kenyon Green. Could use another guard. A couple free agents on the interior. They moved on from some guys as well. We saw they did bring in Saffold. Not a long-term. Even with him, they need someone, but he's not a long-term thing either. So Kenyon Green sitting here. They grab that guard who actually has some reps at tackle just in case. That's always, having that insurance feels pretty good. And then I have the Titans going Bernard Raymond, tackle from Central Michigan. I believe they traded for Woods, so could still take a receiver, but it kind of feels like they filled that need a little bit there, pretty well there. I think they're looking for a right tackle, and they're kind of looking for that athletic type here, and they get that with the former tight end from Central Michigan. Bucks go Devontae Wyatt, quite a few free agents along the defensive line. It's just Vita Vea right now up there for them, so they add Wyatt. Kind of gives you not that I'm. Vea and a guy like Jordan Davis are completely different sizes, but they are very dominant run-stopping nose tackles, so it kind of feels like the same pairing, Wyatt, Vea, Wyatt, Davis, even though I'm not really comparing Davis and as players, prospects, Davis and Vea there. Drake London ended up slipping through a little bit, so the Packers would love to have him. I think the Packers would really like him, actually, because it kind of gives you some... he's not going to be as good as Adams, but some vibes of, Adams / Lazard, kind of, they still have Lazard. It kind of gives you a little bit of both types of receivers here, kind of lengthy, big body, contested catch, but, quicker feet than given credit for, and can play in a slot sometimes, kind of like Adams there. So I think they would like him. Dolphins go Treylon Burks. I think this is more of his range because You know, he's a guy you put in the slot and you use kind of as a gadget guy. Yes, he's caught some balls downfield. Doesn't really get crazy separation, but he's so talented after he has the ball. But I think a guy like Mike McDaniel would like to use him. You know, Burks says he models his game after Deebo Samuel. I don't love the comparison. I think they both get end arounds and you can kind of give them the ball, and they're both very tough after the catch. You know, so I understand the comparison there. They're different sizes. They're a little different, you know, how they move as well. But I understand the comparison. But at the same time, Mike McDaniel can kind of use them that way, and they could benefit from adding another receiver as well. So they go that route. Chiefs go George Karlaftis. I think this is more of his range, actually. Late first, early second. Some people have him earlier. Just, I mean, talented, some good play, not a ton of consistent production, not a ton of length, not a ton of athleticism. Don't think he's definitely not bad in any of those categories, but it's a little underwhelming compared to where people have him. But the Chiefs, I think you'd fit. They're looking for more pass rush. The Bengals kind of filling out the offensive line. I still think they could add one. They could, but they look like they have their starting group there. They could use a corner, you know, and I think they would like Kyer Elam, who had a pretty good combine, maybe at 40, you know, running 4.3s, has the length, has the ability to play different types of coverages. I really think they'll like him. And Nkobe Dean, you know, I had good players slipping through in this whole mock because the quarterbacks, but Nkobe Dean really dropped. It's because the quarterback thing a little bit, but I do think he's going to go later than what we've been talking about. Extremely talented, and I'm more of a guy, if you can play, you can play. And Nkobe Dean can play, but you know, the lack of length, you know, for sure. And then didn't really work out the combine or pro day, like with the testing. So where is he lacking something? Is he hiding something? Just fits so perfectly in that Georgia, you know, that specific scheme. So teams might be a little turned off by it. I think he only fits a handful of teams. The Lions looking for a linebacker. They pair him. I mean, the Lions would love to have him here at 32, and they pair him with, I'll just say they pair him with a guy like Derek Barnes, who I like, but they pair him with the Georgia defensive end and Travon Walker, who I had them taken with the second overall pick there, obviously. So that would be something. I actually think he could slip through like this, too, because, yeah, the measurables and does he fit us? You know, teams be doing that, so we'll see. On to the second round, though. So the Jaguars, I think I had this last time as well. Christian Harris, I think they're looking for maybe more of a linebacker that can blitz a little bit. I know they're bringing in Rashaan Evans for a visit. Doesn't mean a whole lot. He does still have upside, but I like Harris for them. I think it's a solid fit. Lions then grab the receiver here at 34. Sky Moore feels like a first-round pick to me. You know, what he does outside, inside the slot. Separation, speed, hands, you know, everything there after the catch. So the Lions would be very happy. There's a good draft for them, and they'd be very happy to get him. Jets go Travis Jones. I think he has the ability to be a first-round pick here. Very talented, kind of replacing Fedakasi with this one. It'd be a great replacement, actually. It'd be an upgrade, in my opinion. There, the Giants go Lewis Seen, a safety from Georgia. I heard he could sneak in the first. Guy that can play free or strong. I think his best work is kind of closer to the box, kind of reading the ball, making a play on the ball, you know, backfields, good angles. I think that's kind of the market Giants are in for safety, guy that can do both and fly around the field there. Texans go Andrew Booth. They grab their corner. Booth, I think, would be good, and Lovie Smith's Tampa 2 scheme there. Makes sense in that in those coverage concepts. Booth is a very good playmaker. It feels like late first-round talent. Injured right before the combine. It's not the best look. It's not a major injury, though. Didn't get to see him work out, so maybe he goes early second because of that. Jets grab Christian Watson. They're kind of looking for that outside speed receiver there. They get that in Watson. Bears, Kyler Gordon, corner Washington, there's been some talk about him going in the first round, but kind of looking for that guy to pair with Jalen Johnson there. So the Bears grab Gordon, who had an underwhelming combine, so maybe that dropped him from late first to early second here. Seahawks go Quay Walker, another guy that I think has potential to go late first. Just feels like today's linebacker, you know. I even think there's some sort of shot he goes before Nkobe Dean, which sounds crazy, but there's some sort of shot there. Georgia guys are just crazy, but Seahawks grab him, pair him with Jordan Brooks, because remember Bobby Wagner is out. I'm curious to see how they do that, because they were playing Brooks obviously alongside Wagner. The way I actually love Burks out of Texas Tech, but kind of in a Bobby Wagner type role. So when they took him and played him next to Wagner, it's like, it was interesting. So are they going to take Burks and play him in Wagner's spot? They're going to keep playing him where they're playing him. It's not a huge difference really in today's NFL, but it'd be interesting to see actually now that I'm thinking about it. So Seahawks got 2 in a row, of course. Missed out on Trent Brown. He went to the Patriots. That was this morning. And Dwayne Brown, they could get him back. As I'm talking right now, he's still a free agent. I know the Panthers are interested in him. So they could use a tackle. Either way, they can use one. So they grabbed Tyler Smith, who I think they would like. I think he fits what the Seahawks have had on the offensive line there. I like him. Colts need some receivers for Mr. Matt Ryan there. Mr. Matty Ice, so Jahan Dodson would be a great pick for them. Pair him with Michael Pittman. He's got that speed. Underrated, I think. So David Jabo, this is kind of another big update with this mock draft. He, just hate to hear it and see it too. The video is pretty bad. When he was working out, obviously pro day, he tore his Achilles. So that's tough. And this is weird to say, but you almost wish it was. Of course you wish it was something different besides Achilles. But even like ACL, you might be out. It's weird. You might be out longer, maybe around the same time, but you come back pretty damn strong from that. So Achilles, we saw Akers come back pretty strong. We didn't see a whole lot of him. We saw a bit of him. So 6 month, possibly come back. Achilles a little tricky, though, so it's tough to figure out where he will go. So talented, so much upside. The Falcons, it really feels like they're in that rebuild process now, so they can afford to do this. They also need guys that can just get after the quarterback. So all of the above, it makes sense here. So they grab a Jabo. They take the risk there. But his only negative before was he's a little, needs a lot of work in the run game. But now you add the Achilles injury on top of that. Could he drop even further? I don't see him getting out of the second round, but he could drop to the back end of the second round. Maybe more will come out about the injury in the surgery, or so we'll see. Browns. Feels like they're trying to get Clowney back, maybe asking for too much. I heard they were kind of looking around to, they were in on Von Miller, but they were so focused on Watson at that time. And I heard they were kind of sniffing around trading for guys like Daniil Hunter, perhaps. So it's kind of clear to me they're looking for a pass rusher. Sam Williams, a lot of upside. Coincidence, I have them kind of going back-to-back with Jabo and Williams. They're almost the same guy in this draft class. Jabo more talented, but of course he has the injury. But they're both phenomenal at getting after the quarterback. Both very athletic. Williams had an incredible workout at the combine, ran in the 4.4s. They both need work stopping the run. But I think the Browns would like to work with a guy like that. Pairing with Myles Garrett. Just the athleticism is ridiculous. Ravens, Damone Clark, I had this last time. It sounds like the league is higher on him than most. So the linebacker order might surprise people. Guys like Quay Walker and Clark could actually sneak in the back end of the first round. But they pair him with the other LSU linebacker and Patrick Queen there in Baltimore. Maybe a little bold. Sam Howell would go somewhere. I like Sam Howell. I would take him in the first round. Depends on the team and what pick. But I like Howell. I think he has some upside. I think he played very, very well 2 years ago and played all right this year. But, the talent's there. But the Vikings, they did extend Kirk Cousins. It's nothing long-term, so could they grab a guy here to kind of get ready to take over? Could Kellen Mond be that guy? We don't know what the new staff who didn't take Kellen Mond thinks of him, so had to go somewhere around here. Washington goes George Pickens, so looking for more of a big body receiver because they have McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. Looking for that guy for their new quarterback, Carson Wentz. I had this last time, Abraham Lucas to the Bears. They're looking for the more athletic profile tackle, offensive lineman in general. So this makes a lot of sense at a big-time combine. So kind of a big riser because we didn't have him in the second round before the combine. Really feel like that's the type of guy the Bears are looking for there at the tackle position, or again, in the offensive line in general. Saints go Daxton Hill. Yeah, some people have Daxton Hill in the first round, and he's very talented. I could see that. It's just hard to find a spot for some of these safeties because a lot of them, they play free and they play strong. So there's going to be some teams that, we want to use them at both. And there's going to be some teams like, hey, we like him at both, but we really like our own guy at free safety, we'll say. And there's some teams that are going to be like, all right, we like him at free, and that's it. And some teams like him at strong, and that's it. So it's very tricky to figure out where some of these safeties are going to go, maybe besides a guy like Kyle Hamilton. The Saints, not a whole lot of need, just really big need at receiver. We had them taking care of that first round. Maybe quarterback still, obviously. But go Daxton Hill, safety that you can move around at either spot. I think Marcus May, who they added, is kind of that guy. Jenkins maybe coming to the end of his career. So I thought that made sense. It's really hard to see Daxton Hill fall any further than this point. Channing Tindall, linebacker, Georgia, just a freak athlete. Got some size, too. Really good blitzer. I think that's what Dolphins are looking for. Get a guy that can come in there blitzed, pair with Baker. Baker kind of controlling a little bit, doing pretty much everything there, so get a guy like Tindall in there. I think they would like him. I had this last time, Jalen Petre to the Eagles. I like him as more of a strong safety. Put him up in the box, pair him with Anthony Harris. McCreary, pretty good man coverage corner from Auburn. Go to the Steelers there. Could use another corner. Packers get an offensive lineman to potentially play right tackle or replace Billy Turner. Some talk about Falele playing guard as well. It's a very long, tall guard if that's the case, though. Like him at right tackle for the Packers. Patriots take Cole Strange from Chattanooga, can play guard or center. The Patriots trade away Shaq Mason so they can plug him in at guard. Seems like a Patriots guy here. This is kind of more where they maybe take care of that guard position. Cardinals go Arnold Ebukete, edge rusher from Penn State, very athletic edge rusher. Like him as in the 3-4. It's what the Cardinals run. They lost Chandler Jones too, so it makes some sense. Cowboys grab their linebacker of the future and Chad Muma, who had a good workout at the combine, pretty damn good in coverage as well. And then the last group of picks, Bills kind of get that gadget receiver they could use to pair with Diggs in Davis. So in Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously, you can do a bunch of different things. Very good after the catch. Falcons looking for that Aluokun replacement, Leo Chenal from Wisconsin, another guy that had a good workout at Combine and Pro Day. So he could be that guy to pair with Deion Jones. Packers go Logan Hall. Need a guy to play just outside of Kenny Clark there on the Packers defensive line. So they're getting some good players here with all these picks they gained. Bucks go Breece Hall. I like Breece Hall a lot. Should be the first running back taken. I really think Hall and Walker kind of separate themselves as top two. But it sounds like the Bucks might be okay with letting Fournette walk. He's got a visit with the Patriots of all teams there. And Ronald Jones, a free agent, they can use a running back. And Breece Hall, feels like a pretty good Fournette replacement. Pretty underrated catching the ball, kind of just like Fournette was. So that made sense. 49ers, Kingsley Enagbare from South Carolina. Again, liked his tape a lot this year. Really like him as a 4-3 end. A little underwhelming at the combine. Guy you got to work with, but I really like him with the 49ers. Opposite of Nick Bosa, I think they'll be able to work well with him. They'll get the most out of him there. The Chiefs go Kenneth Walker. So we see the Bucks and the Chiefs go running backs. Both teams got a bunch of free agents at the running back position. Both could be looking to improve. The Chiefs, they kind of mix it up with their different running/blocking schemes last year. When they kind of did more of their man, runs, style runs, their power style runs, they look pretty good. Even with a guy like Jet McKinnon too, who's not really a power back. You don't necessarily have to have power back for the power style runs, but Walker would make a lot of sense there. He'd make a lot of sense. So I think they would like him, pair him with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and get going more on that and just really get, more of a run game presence because they kind of had it actually even in the playoffs there, but even more so really throw teams off here. The Bengals go Dylan Parham, a riser after the combine from Memphis, played guard. Probably a backup day one, but they kind of need that insurance. Kind of need those more guys in there, obviously, to make sure they have that offense line held down there. And then maybe just kind of a best available pick here for the Broncos, Perion Winfrey. They added a nose tackle in DJ Jones and could use another guy that really can move around and play every position. We've seen him play pretty much every position across the interior defensive line at Oklahoma. So I do think the Broncos will like him. Maybe not the biggest need. The Broncos roster's looking pretty good, actually. So I don't know if they have glaring needs. They're still going to, they're still clearing space. They're going to sign some guys in free agency, but kind of just too good to pass on at this point here from the Senior Bowl MVP and Perion Winfrey from Oklahoma. So that is my updated mock draft after all these crazy trades and teams that have new needs and missed out on guys and so far in the offseason, and teams picking in different spots. So, really enjoy doing these. Again, we'll probably get to one where I project some trades. Always talking with you guys on Twitter, a lot of updates, news, rumors, thoughts on there. So check that out. Link down below for that and many other things. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.